Good morning and welcome to the EZFX Trading Room broadcast for Monday, September 5th. My name is Bradley Freed, and for the next 20 to 30 minutes, you'll be joining me for a broadcast that consists of a review of our watch list from last week that we left off with on Thursday, and also an introduction of any new or open trades that we have discovered or entered in the interim. As usual, if you have any questions, we have a chat room on this page. If you're watching live, please post your questions, and at the end of the broadcast, I will answer them live. If you're watching the recording and you have any questions, you can post to the Trading Room group in the community. Just go to the community menu on the site after you log in. You can also send me a private message via the same community, or you can send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, so let's get started by reviewing the watch list. We had a lot of results last week. I did close several trades at the end of the week, but that weren't open, but I was following a trend beyond the planned profit targets. But let's just take a look at where we were at on Thursday. We were watching an Aussie dollar buy, a dollar Swiss sell, Euro New Zealand buy, New Zealand yen sell, and pound yen sell. And our new and open trades were the Aussie trades and the Euro dollar. So Aussie New Zealand buy, Euro dollar sell, Aussie Swiss buy, and Aussie CAD buy. Let's jump over the charts, take a look at what's happened to these, and add on some new trades that we've discovered and actually sent out as signals yesterday on Sunday afternoon. So immediately, one thing that's happening right now that I want to talk about, go ahead and close some of this stuff, is the New Zealand yen is set up. So one of the things we're looking at is this trend line that I drew under the trend on the New Zealand yen. And the dollar yen and the euro yen I've already set up. I've already opened trades on those in the sell direction. Just after the ISM announcement last week, there was a breakdown of the buy trend because it looks like that the Fed won't be raising the interest rates after all for a while. And this is part of it, this New Zealand yen sell. So the trend line broke. We have a Class B divergence. We have a sell bubble. We have a trend line break. Three things that we need to get in. You can go ahead and get in right now with a stop of 57 pips. Initial profit target at the monthly pivot down here, which is right about the 50% retracement level. The second profit target, the weekly pivot at 73.5217. And I'm going to go ahead while we're here, and I'm going to get into this, and then I'm going to send out a signal right after the broadcast. New Zealand sell, entry price is 75.527. Always size my trades before I get in. It's just a good practice. 76.08. 6. This is stop. The final profit target at the weekly pivot at 75.521, 73.5217. And the stop is not a break even. Gives me a maximum trade size of 0.08 on $5,000. Let's go ahead and jump in this. And I'll take a screenshot at the same time. Now I have a little problem in that I'm reaching my limit on my leverage here. But let's push it just a little bit. I don't like to go below 300% on margin level, but everything's controlled with stop losses, so I think it's probably okay. And this is a New Zealand yen. Pushes me just below to 286% on the leverage. I always immediately put in my stop loss, even if I don't set my targets yet. You always want to protect your account. So 76.086 is my stop. And then later I can put in my profit targets. But you do want to protect yourself if it gets away from you or it starts moving. You want to just be stopped out clean. You don't want something that's gone beyond what you planned for it to do. So in that, I will send this out as a signal right after a broadcast. Our stops are set. And I'm a little bit below where I like to be on leverage, but it's okay. At least on the second account, I am. All right, so that's immediately pressing business. New Zealand sell, ready to go. Has given us a sell signal. Let's just add that to our list as an open trade. And that was something you're watching, so that's good. It's all consistent. We're trading what we planned to do. I'll just call that new, and it will be a signal trade. So we'll put an asterisk by it. All right, so let's look at the euro pound. And the euro pound, I'm still looking for a buy trade on this. I got out of this when we had the ISM announcement. It kind of started to turn right here. Since then, we've gotten a lot of Class A opposite direction divergence. That's an exit signal for this if you're trend following. And we moved a fair distance beyond the initial profit targets. It could go further, but it looks like it's hitting a lot of resistance to me. So I set up a trend line. I have this Class A zone down here now. I have kind of a buy bubble forming, actually two in a row almost. And if we get a break above this trend line, I want to buy this pair. And the first target will be the monthly pivot at 0.85189, and the final target would be up here at the second, at this weekly pivot at 0.8654. And that should be a pretty interesting or nice trade if it does set up for us and cooperate with us. But we're not in it yet. We're still watching that. So this is going to be euro pound buy. I talked about this in the analysis report for this week that I sent out a link for yesterday. Pound Swiss sell, that's kind of opposite direction. We close this out, Class A signal here. Stopped the trend follow and took profit. It's a nice trade. We were in it for a while, and it did give us a nice profit. We have a sell bubble. We have Class A supply zone. I drew a trend line under these recent candles here. This pair is currently consolidating. It hasn't pushed through this zone yet. If it fails to push through this zone and falls and closes below this trend line, I'd like to sell the pair with an initial profit target at the monthly pivot at 1.2787 and a final profit target at the not sure what I'm looking at there. Let's see. Yeah, this weekly pivot back here at 1.2678 looked pretty good to me. We can go ahead and use those as our targets, depending on if the trade opens or not. The trade is not yet open, but I'll go ahead and add it to the watch list. It's a pound Swiss. Sell. All right, next we have a dollar yen sell, and this is open. Our signal was the sell bubble, Class B divergence, trend line break here. This really started to weaken last week. It gave us a big signal with this wick here that it left, and then it rebounded and made a new high. So, nobody was ready to give up on it. They wanted to go higher, but it had already shown it was weakening. So I drew a trend line. It closed below it here. We sent out a signal, and it keeps moving down. So I hope it goes. My initial profit target is the monthly pivot at 102.0947. Final profit target at the weekly pivot at 101.4303. And I hope this continues to drop for us. But right now it looks pretty good. It's open. So I'll add this to our list as an open trade. That's open as a signal trade. Euro yen, same deal. It showed weakness. It showed its hand at the end of last week with this wick. I drew a line under price. It closed below. We took a sell trade with a stop right above the recent high, not above the zone because the zone was kind of too thick. So I just used the top of the recent high made and put the stop a little bit above that. Initial profit target at the monthly pivot, last month's monthly pivot at 114.6153. Final profit target at the weekly pivot at 113.8897. This is again is detailed in both the signal that I sent out and in the analysis report that I posted this week. So Euro yen sell is also open. And I like that we've been able to, I don't know if we're going to succeed on these or not, but I like that we were able to not be stuck on one direction. We're able to get out of the trade and then enter in the opposite direction. Just very, based on what the system was telling us. That's really the way it should be. I've always had trouble sometimes in the past of getting stuck on or fixated on one direction, having a hard time giving up. But basically just give up when you get the signal trade in the opposite direction. Let's just make money. Let's not worry about if we're right about a long-term idea or not. Just do what the system tells you and make money. That's really what we should be doing. Euro dollar still open. Oh, the sell is closed, by the way. We took profit on the sell. So that was a win. It's I have to check on the pips. I'll update that a little later. But now we have a sell, and this I also say as a signal. Basically what happened is this broke out really hard, and that's when we closed the trade. When all this happened. And then it dropped again. But it had kind of shown that it was weak and that it was responding to, the dollar, the Fed probably not raising rates on the dollar. And so I went ahead and decided it was a good time to buy it. And it did kind of break higher. It's gone back down, but I'm still liking this trade. It's showing that it doesn't want to trend further at this point in time. Now, it may decide to. There may be some new news or something that's a catalyst for it to go lower. But at this time, I still like to buy a trade. You could still get in this, basically, where I sent the signal. So I'll put this up as a new trade on our list right now. The initial profit is a weekly pivot at 1.1242. Final profit target at the Fibonacci retracement level at 78.6%. If we look at the chart, I'm looking at this trend here that I'm setting retracements on. And we're looking to at least get up to this pivot up here, this weekly pivot, which I think is totally achievable, especially because it already hit it. When all this ISM stuff happened, it moved and a wick touched that and dropped. And it's not unusual when that happens for a pair to revisit that same level, not with a wick, but actually with a firm candle. So I'm still liking this. And this right now is new, but it's a signal trade. Euro dollar buy. And then we have Aussie Newsy. This was a new trade. And it's still, I mean, it's still something you can get into. It hasn't really started moving for us yet. The triangular moving average went from blue to red, but we're right at the entry, so I usually don't worry. We just kind of stick it out and wait for it to start moving. I'm looking for a breakout above the supply zone. That hasn't happened yet. Still moving sideways after the entry signal. And the initial profit target is here at the weekly pivot at 1.0451, or the final profit target at the last month's monthly pivot at 1.0538. So this is still, for practical purposes, a new trade. You can still get in it. Hasn't gone too far. Aussie dollar, this has actually moved pretty well for us. This I also sent out as a signal trade. We were watching this, and then it opened up. So this is currently open, sent out as a signal. We've gotten back to the monthly pivot, and that was an idea for an initial profit target, but it didn't have a good risk to reward ratio given that the stop was this far down. You know, we got in this trade right around here, which was a 59 pip stop. The monthly pivot would have been 47 pips or 46 pips. That's not enough. So I used the 50% retracement level with 76 pips instead. That was acceptable. And we're just kind of waiting for it to trend a little further to break higher and hit this initial profit target. It's already almost gotten there here. This was the ISM spike, and then it dropped. And this looks a lot like the euro dollar. So this is another reason I like the euro dollar, is it kind of did exactly the same thing. So if the Aussie dollar moves higher and starts trending again, I expect the euro dollar to do the same, and eventually these to all kind of work their way to their profit targets. Aussie Swiss, this has actually made a new high finally. It moved through and broke through a zone that was sort of hanging there. Made a new high, dropped back. I expect it to keep moving. The final profit target at the weekly pivot at 0.7492. And this is just looking really good right now. So this is still an open trade. It's a signal trade as well. And finally, Aussie CAD. This one is probably the least good-looking one. It was moving pretty well. It had moved through this line. We've been in this trade for a while. It was moving sideways. It broke through. It made a high. It almost got to the monthly pivot, and then it dropped back down to this old demand zone, reasonably old demand zone here. The stop is still way down below, so I'm not really worried about that. But we need some kind of catalyst to raise it and start this trend again. And so I'm content just to wait at this point. We're right near the entry price. We've had ranging behavior for a long time. It did break out but dropped, but it's still within that same old range. So for now, I think it's okay, especially because the other Aussie pairs are rising towards their targets. I would expect this at some point in time to do the same. So I'm not terribly concerned about it. As far as other trades that are setting up, so Aussie yen looks like it has potential. You know, it's dropping towards this trend line here. I probably wouldn't get into it any earlier than that, but we can throw it up on our list here. So Aussie yen sell. Let's see, some of the other ones we were looking at were dollar Swiss sell. And that actually did set up, we just didn't get into it. And the reason we didn't get into it is when it did break down. No, it was still acceptable, but there were, yeah, I just didn't take it. It looked pretty volatile. I didn't get into this trade, but this is still available to you. You just have to figure out the profit targets. But it's still, you know, not bad. This looks a lot like the euro dollar. It's just the reverse setup. You could use the 50% retracement level of 78.6 and get into this trade. Right now, it's definitely open. I did not send this out as a signal. And typically, when I have a dollar Swiss trade and a euro dollar trade, I like to just pick one or the other, because if you pick both and they both lose, it's just kind of double whammy. It's the same trade. It's just a mirror image. Let's look at the Euro Newsy buy. That was another one we had our eye on. This has not set up yet, but this is still interesting. It's moving lower. We have a nice trend line. We have a Class B demand zone. It looks like it's getting punched through. Everything is here, but it's definitely something to keep watching. It hasn't really set up yet, but it's potentially still a good trade. Euro Newsy buy. And pound yen sell, that was the other one we were looking at. This also, interesting trade, has not set up yet. I drew a trend line very conservatively on this. Yeah, it's in theory, it's a lot like the dollar yen. So if we draw a tighter trend line, we'd probably be in it right now. It's moved below this trend line. But I'm kind of content. I have so many trades open right now. Let's just kind of sit and watch it. Maybe it's something that'll set up later for us as an additional trade, or after we take profit on and move stops to break even on some of our other open trades. We'll be able to think about getting into this. So I'll just leave it on the watch list for right now. But I think those are our updates for today. And all in all, we've done pretty darn well. The euro dollar, let me just check on the pips, and it's kind of bugging me. I updated our signals blog, by the way. So the archive of our past trades is now up to date. The purpose of this is just to give you a visual record, so you can also see what winning trades look like. Yeah, we made 103 pips on that when we closed it out. And we closed it out, like I said, when we got this ISM candle. So I'll just mark it here as 103 pips. And that's also so that we have charts, we have chart evidence to show all our trading results that you can go back and see. It helps to give me confidence. I'm sure it helps to give you confidence about what we're doing to see past results. Just check in real quick on our New Zealand trade. I'm going to send out a signal on that right now. I like to send signals as soon as I do something. Fortunately, it hasn't really changed that much, so it's perfect. But that's it for today. And if you have any questions, you can email me. Let's just go back to the trading room real quick. You can go community, you can go to group, there's a trading room group, you can post a question to that group. You can also find me in the members list on EZFX, and you can send me a private message via the community, or at any time you can send an email to ezfxsignal@gmail.com. I encourage you to ask any questions if anything at all is unclear, you have any concerns, or anything you want to talk about. I'm here for you. As an EZFX member, you have access to me to try to make sure that you're successful at doing this. And look forward to hearing from you. We'll be back tomorrow with another EZFX trading room broadcast, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.